What's up, y'all? It's Locke, and today we're going to talk about a question I was asked by a friend, and I think maybe a lot of people will ask this question, I don't know. But the question is, are protein shakes good or bad for you? This is a pretty loaded question, and the answer seems pretty straightforward. And if you ask most people who maybe know a little less, they'll probably say it's good because more protein, the better, right? And that's by no means saying I know a lot, okay? I'm not a nutritionist, I'm not a dietitian. I would speak to a nutritionist and ask them whether or not it's good or bad for you based on your goals. But from my experience, having a master's in sports science and having weight trained since I was since 2012, done sports my whole life, this has been something I've been familiarized very early on to. So, are protein shakes good or bad for you? Now, more often than not, the answer is yes, it is good for you. Why? Okay, we need to understand what the PDCAA is. So, long story short, what it stands for is the protein digested corrected amino acid score, which just simply means how well our body, humans are able to digest and use protein. So it's a score, I think, ranked from 0 to 100, if I remember correctly, but we don't need to know what 0 is because that's irrelevant. Anything below 80 is already considered not as good as the sources from 80 plus. Now, the score, if I remember correctly, the benchmark or the gold standard is eggs, or our eggs. So eggs are considered one of the best sources of protein, and our ability to digest them is the best. So that's the benchmark, and everything else is scored based on how good compared to eggs. So from my memory, or as memory serves, whey isolate actually scores the highest. So whey protein isolate followed by whey protein. Now, all you need to know about whey protein and what everyone talks about, oh, when you take your protein shakes, that's usually whey protein. For most people, they'll be consuming that. And whey protein isolate is just an even more filtered version of whey protein. So for those of you who are lactose intolerant, but are mildly lactose intolerant, are mild to moderately lactose intolerant, and you can handle some lactose but not too much, you would probably want to opt for the whey protein isolate option because from my memory, well, I'm saying from my memory a lot, huh? I think it only contains 0.001% of lactose, something like that, whereas whey protein contains significantly more. So just be wary of that. In terms of quality, in terms of the PDCAA score, it's not significantly higher. It's like minor, okay? So it also costs a lot more. So for most people, I would just opt for whey protein if you're not sensitive to dairy. Now, after whey protein, I believe it's chicken. So there's exactly a reason why bodybuilders will always say, let's eat more protein from, let's get more of our protein from whey and chicken. That's what they mostly eat. Then I think right below that will be turkey, then it's beef, fish, etc., etc. Most of these sources are going to be great, but most of it would try and get it from pork and whey. So that's the good part, okay? And for a lot of people, whey protein is also very convenient. That's a big reason why a lot of people will use protein shakes as well, because sometimes you ain't got time after a workout to immediately get a chicken. I mean, it's much easier nowadays because you'll definitely see convenient stores that stock chicken breast, or you might get beef jerky, etc. But there's a problem with that is quite a lot of them have a lot of preservatives, a lot of sodium to preserve. So you end up getting a lot of added preservatives to your food. And for a lot of people, they don't want that, right? It is still processed. So you got protein shakes. And now people who don't understand how protein shakes work or how whey protein is made, they go, yeah, well, that's not natural too. It's like, yeah, but you're also, like a lot of things that we take nowadays consume, unless if you literally get it from the ground or you have your own farm, a lot of it we don't actually know what's going on, like the preservatives, the growth hormones, etc. So most of the crap we're eating will contain these things anyways. So the best thing we can do is try our best to eat, yes, mostly natural foods. But in this day and society now, it's going to be very difficult. So we do our best. But whey protein really is just a byproduct of the cheese industry. So from my memory, again, cheese is made and whatnot, and the byproduct that comes out of it is actually whey protein. And that's what you get in your powder. So if you call that unnatural, then all right, well, I can't argue against that. But if you're someone who also drinks a lot of alcohol, smashes Coke Zeros and Cokes every day, yeah, you're not probably one to talk about whey protein being unnatural, because it's infinitely better than those things you're consuming. But yeah, back to the point. It's very convenient, okay? So vending machine, they'll have some even ready-made proteins as well, even protein shake, even if you don't have a tub of protein. So I think society has come a long way in ensuring that everyone takes their protein, and protein is very, very important, especially if you're an older adult or woman, because you're going to synthesize, it's going to be harder for your body to synthesize the protein and use it. So you have to consume extra to do so. And most people are not hitting the recommended. Now, if you look at government bodies, they're a minimum, so the daily, as you call it, or the recommended daily intake for protein is 0.8 grams per kilo of body weight, which is, sorry, not per kilo, No, 0.8 grams per pound of body weight. Yes, which is really low actually. I mean, yes, you can get away with it, but it's not enough. Actually, I can't even remember. Is it 0.8 per kilo or 0.8 per pound? But either way, both are still very low. For bodybuilders, it's recommended to eat up to 2 times your body weight in kilos. So I weigh about 80 kilos. The recommended is to intake about 160 grams of protein per day, which is pretty safe. You can probably be all right even on 1.5 times, but 1 is just really low, okay? So get your protein in. And for a lot of people who don't eat enough protein, protein shake is the easiest way to do it. Now, where's the bad, okay? Honestly, I wouldn't even classify it as bad. There's pretty much no poor reason to have protein shakes, unless, okay, your goal is weight loss. Now, here's the thing. If you're not consuming enough protein, I'd probably still say it's all right for you, and it's not inherently bad or good. But the problem with whey protein for folks who are looking to lose weight is it's not actually a word, but satious, like it, because the word is actually satiety, right? Like how full you feel after eating. I looked up in the dictionary. I don't think being satious or satious is a word. But my point being is you don't feel as full. Like if you had to eat a chicken breast, well, actually technically 2 chicken breasts about fist size would give you about 40 something grams of protein, which is usually about 1.5 scoops of whey. It's just so much easier to smash out 1.5 scoops of whey and drink that compared to 1.5 scoops of chicken breast. But when you finish that protein shake, you're not going to feel as full compared to the 2 chicken breasts that you've had. It's just how it is, right? Eating is going to fill you up. There's more volume than there is in liquid. And that's why you'll hear a lot of people say, well, you should try and cut out liquid calories first when you're dropping weight. And yeah, you don't have that many calories to work with. So if you're someone who's trying to lose weight, like I'm not the world's best example because I burn a lot of calories, so it's not as difficult. But if you're someone who plans to just lose weight through dieting and not through exercise, especially if you're a woman, if you get someone in Asia, an average woman probably weighs about 55 kilos here, maybe even less. And if they're relatively sedentary, they don't get that many steps in, and they don't exercise that much, their daily, so how many calories they burn in a day is probably only 1,500, maybe 1,800 tops. And you need to be in a deficit for usually quite a few months. And if you're on a 500 calorie deficit per day, which will drop you about a pound a week, you're probably only hitting 1,000 to 1,300. One protein shake, one scoop, okay, usually about 30 grams, is about 100 to 120 calories. No, sorry, if it's 30 grams, it's at least 120 calories, if not more. That's already a tenth of your daily, and you're not gonna be that full from it. I would almost always suggest eating your protein if you're dropping weight or that's your goal, because it's gonna fill you up. But I hope that answers the question. In most contexts, having a protein shake is almost always a good thing. It's good for you. You need to get more protein. A lot more like doctors, well, I don't want to use influencers, but those who have done work on nutrition, PhDs in nutrition, nutritionists, dietitians, even gastroenterologists, and orthopedic doctors especially, they're talking a lot about people needing to raise their protein intake. And it's going to give you a higher quality of life. Sarcopenia, so muscle loss, osteoporosis, bone mineral density loss, even osteoarthritis. So that's to do with joint integrity and it being worse. Exacerbating is the word. These things can be minimized by eating more protein. Obviously, it should come with resistance training as well, and it's very important. But then again, just because you eat more protein and don't resistance train doesn't mean that therefore it's useless. It's still much better than not eating enough protein at all. But yeah, you're going to want to accompany that with resistance training. And unfortunately for a lot of people, the results are very intangible, unless if you're making massive gains, like you're training 3 days a week, you're being diligent, you're sleeping a lot, then sure, you're going to make progress. But if you're only weight training once or twice a week, you might not see as much progress. And a lot of people just give up and think, well, what's the point anyway? I'm still fine, I have no issues. But 20 years down the line, you're not going to be saying the same thing. You are statistically increasing your chances of dying from all-cause mortality. And I'm also talking about including cardio too, because cardiovascular exercise, just by doing that and having a higher VO2 max as well as a lower resting heart rate will decrease all-cause mortality risk. So get your cardio in. So I'm speaking to you gym bros too, who only weight train. It's not enough. But that's the video for now. I hope this helps, and I'll catch you on the next one. Peace.